Today's trip down the Turnpike is brought to you by Drizzly, your online liquor store. Available in over 95 cities across North America, Drizzly offers a huge selection and competitive pricing with a side of personalized content. Now there's no need to leave the house. Get alcohol delivered in less than an hour by Drizzly. Head on over to drizzly.com and order today. And now get $5 off your first order of $20 or more when using promo code DRINK19 at checkout. Shop beer, wine, and liquor with drizzly.com. Welcome to Turnpike Sports. I am Dave Weishuttle, and as always, I am joined by my producer and co-host, Doug Weishuttle. Doug, just when I thought preseason football was really boring, I couldn't stand watching it. Wow, what a bombshell that was dropped early last week.
Captain Andrew Luck has finally gone home.
Oh, God. You know, I'm not an Indianapolis Colts fan. I think I'm a bigger fan of the Captain Andrew Luck Twitter handle. But
who doesn't like that handle?
So, wow, what a shocker. And wow, what a shocker throughout the sports books of this country.
It really caught everybody off guard, probably everybody except Andrew Luck. So it sounded like he was planning on doing something like that.
Who knows?
You know, injuries, I don't blame him. If he's in that much pain, it's taking the joy out of the game away
Absolutely.
from him. I have no problem with what he did.
Gronkowski said the same thing when he was giving his pitch for the, was it
CBD oils or
CBD
something.
oil.
The company is CBD Medical or something or whatever it is.
Well, they both talk about injuries taking the love of the game away from them. So, it's something that people who didn't play professional sports won't understand. And, I'm not going to comment about, if they're weak or they're soft or boo-hoo-hoo. I think, you know what? I mean, it's a dangerous sport, and it's
if the pain and the rehab has taken the joy out of the game for whoever is playing, they're better off getting out of there because they're just going to hurt themselves even worse, possibly.
I mean, you want a normal and natural life when you're 50 and 60 years old. So, we got a great show coming up for you. As always, we want to have the Turnpike Sports Book Report, where we talk about what's going on in the sports books across the country. And there's sports betting in Iowa. And to hear all about it, I'm going to talk with Brian Ohorilko, administrator for the Iowa Racing and Gaming Commission. He's going to give us a lowdown of what's going on in the Hawkeye State.
Welcome to Sports Betting Iowa.
Absolutely. Welcome to the family.
And also fantasy sports you mentioned, too.
Yeah. Like I said, it's a busy week, so let's take a trip down the Turnpike. And today's trip down the Turnpike is brought to you by Drizzly, your online liquor store. Available in over 95 cities across North America, Drizzly offers a huge selection and competitive pricing with a side of personalized content. Now there's no need to leave the house. Get alcohol delivered in less than an hour by Drizzly. Head on over to drizzly.com and order today. And now get $5 off your first order of $20 or more when using promo code DRINK19 at checkout. Shop beer, wine, and liquor with drizzly.com.
Exit 1.
Okay, we just hinted at it in the little tease at the top of the show there with Andrew Luck retiring. But before we get to that, a couple of things. NFL has said that they are not ready yet to name an official sports betting partner. They're going to be taking it nice and slow. So whoever is looking for this last league to partner up with somebody, it may or may not happen by this season, at the beginning of this season.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was going to say they better hurry up. They only get about a week to go, week and a half to go.
They had a spokesperson give an interview, and they mentioned
the NFL has a
the NFL spokesperson said that they are going to be looking at it nice and carefully and cautiously. They may even do something overseas before they do something in the United States.
Interesting. Overseas first, huh?
London games.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Illinois has said that they are looking into the launch of the sports betting with their Illinois lottery, which means that Gamblers 21 and up will eventually be able to get into sports betting at the 5,000 gas stations, convenience stores, and other retailers that do Illinois Lottery.
Wow, that's interesting.
No timeline for it.
That'd be very interesting, stopping for gas and placing a bet on the Chicago Bears or something like that.
You get your gas, your gum, your cigarettes, and your sports bets.
There you
all
go.
At once. And Canby and DraftKings have expanded their partnership to include 8 additional states besides New Jersey. Canby and DraftKings are in the Resorts Casino. They do the physical sportsbook, the retail sportsbook there. They now did an additional extension for Colorado, Indiana, Iowa, Maine, New York, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and West Virginia. When all those states launch, some of them have already launched.
I got to tell you, I always like the sports book in resorts in Atlantic City.
Very nice,
it's like
very comfortable.
It's the closest to the boardwalk. I mean, it's about 10, 15 feet from the boardwalk, which is great.
Well, they've expanded, so you may see more of these.
Good, hope so.
And as we said at the top of the show, Andrew Luck retired, sent everybody into a tailspin for at least one night.
Oh, these odds that changed were crazy. I mean, crazy. Well, first off, let me ask you, so how do you find out first? Because I was sitting watching ESPN, and that little red thing on the bottom, it came up and said, Adam Schefter reports that Andrew Luck is retiring.
I was watching NFL Network.
Oh, wow.
And they were having a game on. And it popped up on their little ticker down below, too, breaking news, and announced he was retiring. They were supposed to have a press conference the next day.
Sure.
But I think they kind of pushed it up because of what was going on. Got booed off the field, which really
was wrong. Absolutely
stupid,
wrong.
But, you know what? Fans are going to be emotional, and you got to expect that. But, again, that's kind of crossing the line a little bit.
Yeah.
But, yeah, they went from potential Super Bowl darlings in the books. They went from 15-1 odds in a lot of the books.
They would call that a value bet.
Yeah.
I like 15-1 is a value bet.
They went from a value bet to a long shot. Now, some of them have 50-1, some have 60-1. It's going to change, too.
Now, did I hear some took it off the board?
Some took the first week off the board.
First week off the board?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it'll be interesting. Some went from 3.5 Charger favorite to 7. Other ones took it off the board. PointsBet is one of the ones that have refunded all Indianapolis Colts and Andrew Luck bets.
Interesting.
Colts Super Bowl bets. I mean, not anything else, but some of the other things in terms of Luck as MVP, all that, they've refunded those bets. Superbook did a lot of that too.
Yeah, when it comes to Andrew Luck and the Indianapolis Colts, this is a fluid situation. I mean, these things are, keep checking your local sports books because I'm sure they're going to have, movement of these numbers. I mean, the over-under of wins now, it went from 10 in some places to 7, now 6.5. Now
East Coast Sports,
yeah.
East Coast sports books, FanDuel, PointsBet, DraftKings all knocked the win total down to 6.5 as an over-under.
Okay.
So maybe that's an East Coast, West Coast thing because I know a lot of the West Coast still have them at 7.5 wins.
Okay.
So it bears watching.
Yeah, no, that might be one of those ones you have to shop around for.
Yeah.
Exit 2.
In the continual evolution of eSports, they are now going to be on HBO.
Okay.
Featured in the storyline of the series Ballers. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as a sports agent.
Perfectly honest with everyone, I've never seen this show.
I've seen a couple episodes, very good.
Okay. So what is it, about sports agents?
It's about a sports agent, former athlete becoming a sports agent.
I remember Arliss. Robert Wool. I remember watching Arliss. So that was a great show. Maybe I should check out Ballers.
I thought Ballers was done better than Arliss.
Really? Okay, I got to check it out.
So, but the overall storyline is involving Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's character getting involved and investing into an esports industry team. Whether it's a specific team or a company or whatever, that's going to evolve over the season as it goes along, it looks like. They unveiled the season trailer at the League of Legends Summer Split Finals. So they had a huge group watching this, and they unveiled it. And it's going to involve a couple different possibilities, they're saying, over the course of the season. League of Legends is definitely involved. Team Liquid may or may not be involved. And Splice, which is another esports organization, may also be involved because they showed a couple images from the upcoming season where they had the Team Splice car.
Well, I guess if any TV show wants a younger viewer audience, I guess get involved with the esports or have an esports timeline in your do a show about esports.
Well, Ballers is one of the better sports series out there in terms of fiction, and this is its final season, so it's going out with esports.
Exit 3.
Okay, all season long we've been seeing streaming baseball games, Major League Baseball games on YouTube.
Yeah.
And it seems to be the better fit than what they did last year with Facebook.
I have not yet seen anything on Facebook, mainly because, I'm just not of that, generation where I'm going to watch TV on my phone. I mean, it's stupid to say, but, I just don't watch it on my phone.
Well, the biggest problem they encountered with Facebook last year was a lot of people didn't have Facebook accounts to watch the games.
That's interesting. But I like YouTube because now, look, if you have a cable provider, a lot of these, I have Xfinity, and you go to the app section and they have YouTube, so you can watch it on your TV. So it's a more familiar viewing experience if you're doing it on YouTube, as opposed to you can't put Facebook on your smart TV.
Well, they have now shown that YouTube might be the best partner for them. They had a peak audience in their very first broadcast of 200,000 viewers.
It's pretty good.
And
Very good,
they haven't
actually.
dropped down below that.
Wow. Boy.
They actually learned from what they did in Facebook. No commercials. What they're doing between innings, before you ask.
Okay. All right.
They are doing interviews.
I think they did that on Facebook a little
short
bit.
features.
Okay.
Pre-produced short features that they just stick into the minute or two break between innings. And it seems to be generating a lot more, I hate to say it this way, but because everyone uses this phrase, a fan engagement.
Yeah.
So at some point, you're going to see this starting to apply to sports.
You know what I heard some of the people were saying when they were looking at these games on Facebook? They didn't know how to change, and I'm going to say this wrong, the emojis or whatever it is. I mean, if you like something on Facebook, something floats up, a happy face floats up, and people were saying, you had all these things floating up and going in front of the screen, and, I didn't know how to shut it off. So that was, I've heard that complaint from a couple of people about the Facebook viewing.
That was one of the complaints, but the biggest complaint they encountered was trying to get people to sign on and log into this and find the games. But now they're actually getting the response they wanted from YouTube, and they're going to keep doing this. And YouTube is now back on. I didn't even know this. YouTube is being distributed not only on YouTube itself, but you have Apple TV, Roku, and Google's Chromecast. They are now back on Amazon Fire TV. I did not even know they were not on Amazon Fire TV.
Well, I know they're on Roku because we have Roku.
Yeah.
But they're also, like I said, our cable company has apps, Xfinity. You go to the app section of your TV and it has YouTube.
But the biggest advantage they have with YouTube, no one has to create an account.
Yeah, that's good.
No one has to sign up to do anything with YouTube other than sit there and watch it. And you got it on your phone, your laptop, your tablet, your smart TV, pretty much anywhere. And it's free to access to anybody.
Exit 4.
Going to talk a little fantasy sports.
Okay.
Not the typical fantasy sports. And this is New Jersey's first enforcement of their fantasy sports regulations.
Interesting, yeah.
The Division of Consumer Affairs has brought an action to enforce the state's fantasy sports law against Minneapolis-based Sports Hub. And Sports Hub has already agreed to pay $30,000 for unlawfully operating a fantasy sports site in New Jersey.
So what happened? They, I guess, allegedly didn't get a license to operate in the state?
When the law was passed back in 2017, it was the New Jersey Fantasy Sports Act. It's a statute that legalized and regulated internet fantasy gaming activities in New Jersey. Fantasy sports operators were given until February 6th of 2018 to apply and get a permit or cease operating in the state. Sports Hub did not file a permit and did not cease operating in New Jersey.
Huh.
They did apply for a permit in September of 2018. No word on whether that was denied or not, but they did apply.
Yeah, this news story just came out, so I'm sure we're going to get more facts as it rolls out.
It's
So
going to be
it'd be
developing.
interesting. Yeah, I know it should be. I mean, this might ripple throughout the fantasy sports marketplace. So
It'll be interesting
keep
to
an eye
see
on
how
it.
this develops. But what the Division of Consumer Affairs found was that Sports Hub and their various sites, they operate Fanball, CDM Sports, National Fantasy Football Championships, What If Sports, League Safe, and a whole other set of
I've never heard of any of these.
fantasy sports sites. The state found violations in their privacy policy and their terms and conditions contracts that visitors had to click on to agree to play on their sites.
Huh.
So there was no unified terms and conditions or privacy policies across any of their sites. They were also found to have shared personal information of their players to third parties.
That's not good.
No, not without consent, anyway.
No.
And also, they two other things they found. The Sports Hub was not allowing consumers to sue them. They were automatically waiving their right to suits. They had to do arbitration in Minnesota, where they're from. And they did not offer any refunds to their customers.
Oh, wow.
So that was against the fantasy sports regulations that are in place in New Jersey. So it'll be interesting to see exactly how they proceed with all this.
Yeah.
They've already agreed to pay the fine.
It'd be interesting to see how this turns out. And today's trip down the Turnpike was brought to you by Drizzly, your online liquor store. Available in over 95 cities across North America, Drizzly offers a huge selection and competitive pricing with the side of personalized content. Now there's no need to leave the house. Get alcohol delivered in less than an hour by Drizzly. Head on over to drizzly.com and order today. And I'll get $5 off your first order of $20 or more when using promo code DRINK19 at checkout. Shop beer, wine, and liquor with drizzly.com.
And as always, get in touch with Turnpike Sports. You can call or text us at 609-512-5910, 609-512-5910. At Turnpike Sports is the handle for the show on both Facebook and Twitter. You can reach us there. You can email us at info@turnpikesportsradio.com. Don't forget to watch us on Smart TV. Head on over to turnpikesportsradio.com and click on the Smart TV channel button we have on the website. You can watch us on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, and you can also catch the show, which is subscribe to it on iTunes, iHeartMedia, Stitcher Radio. You can also subscribe to our channel on YouTube as well.
And when we come back, we're going to have the Turnpike Sports Book Report, where we talk about what's going on in the sports books across the country. And later on, Iowa has sports betting, and Brian Ohorilko, administrator for the Iowa Racing and Gaming Commission, is going to tell us all about it. So stick around. We'll be right back with more Turnpike Sports. Hey, this is Dave Weishuttle from Turnpike Sports with this week's Bet Flash. FanDuel announced that its mobile sports betting app has launched in West Virginia. This gives West Virginia its first mobile app since the mobile app Bet Lucky closed 6 months ago due to a third-party dispute. FanDuel's mobile sports betting app is available for Android and Apple users. Iowa has become the 11th state in the U.S. to launch sports betting. 6 of Iowa's casinos started taking bets last week, with the state also going live with mobile sports betting. It is expected that most of Iowa's 19 casinos will offer sports betting in the near future. And finally, the surprise announcement that Andrew Luck's retirement from the NFL took a lot of people by surprise and sent some sports books into a tailspin. In many books, the Colts went from 15-1 odds to win the Super Bowl to 60-1 odds, and the over-under changed from 10 wins to 7 wins. It was a busy night for some odds makers. From the seaside to the desert, from the betting lines to the sites online, Turnpike Sports has got you covered. And be sure to follow us on Twitter at Turnpike Sports.
Yeah, you, come here. Haven't you heard? We don't need to hide anymore. Now, we can shop privately for adult products at adamandeve.com. They've got massage oils, lingerie, and lots more we can't mention here. Use offer code SPICE404. They'll give you 50% off almost any one item, 3 free DVDs, free mystery gift, and free shipping. That's 50% off, free shipping, and more. Private shopping starts at adamandeve.com.
Turnpike Sports Book Report.
Welcome back to Turnpike Sports. You know, the NFL season is quickly approaching, and a lot of sports books are promoting their promos that they're going to have for the upcoming season. And I can't wait to talk all about them when we hit the Turnpike Sports Book Report. And the Turnpike Sports Book Report is brought to you by BorgataSports.com. Your favorite casino is now your favorite sports book, available anywhere in New Jersey. BorgataSports.com. Sign up at BorgataSports.com using our promo code PIKE, that's P-I-K-E, and you get a risk-free bet up to $250 and 20 bonus dollars at BorgataCasino.com. Must be 21 years or older and in New Jersey to place a bet. Terms and conditions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Well, before we get to the different offerings the casinos are going to be doing for the football season,
I want to hear about the promos. I want to spend money.
we will get to them. A couple news and notes on sportsbooks. FanDuel launched the FanDuel mobile app in partnership with Greenbrier, launched in West Virginia.
Finally, West Virginia gets another well, they had one before, BetLucky.
Delaware North.
That went dark because of a third-party problem with regard to their providers or something like that.
Tech, yeah.
Yeah, and they've been without a mobile sports app
for a while.
6 months, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But FanDuel's launched, and now also there's word that DraftKings will also be launching soon.
Good.
So they'll have 2 sports betting apps in a matter of a week or two here. Indiana announced their schedule of sports betting launches in the state. September 1st, you have Indiana Grand Racing Casino will launch its sports book. Caesars Entertainment opens at the Winter Circle 2 days later. That's September 3rd. Horseshoe Hammond Casino is set to open the book. That's what they're calling it.
Well, is that MGM?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On September 4th. Harrah's Hoosier Parking, Racing, and Casino will open on September 19th. And there are going to be some openings of some OBTs.
Okay.
Off-track OTBs, I'm sorry.
What did you say?
OBTs.
OBT.
And Chinook wins. We talked about this last week. They opened up their sports betting lounge in Lincoln City, Oregon. They're the first West Coast sports book. Dallas Cowboys star Ed Too Tall Jones placed the ceremonial first bet.
That's cool.
You know who he bet on.
Yeah, of course.
Dallas to win the Super Bowl, $5. So
that's $5 he'll never see again.
No. And also this in New Jersey, the Score got official permission to launch live in their sports betting app.
Great.
And Bet365 should be joining them soon as well. But this is the real reason we're doing the book report today, and it's a little different.
The promos. Yeah, I love the promos.
We got a couple...
I love these big contests they have.
The Atlantic City casinos are actually having some fun with this. Ocean Casino Resort is doing on September 7th, the football kickoff at the William Hill Sportsbook.
Which is an awesome sports book. Which is a beautiful sports book.
You place a bet, and you receive a complimentary T-shirt while supplies last.
Okay. And they go real quick.
They go quick, yeah.
We went to events there, and they're like the first 5 minutes, the T-shirts are gone.
But they're having an entire day for football.
The 7th, you mean, right?
On
the day
7th.
before.
The day
Saturday
before. Saturday's September 7th. Besides doing the complimentary T-shirt, they're going to have $2 hot dogs. They got an all-new food menu that they're showing off. Bud Light buckets for $30, you know. Ocean is also having a pep rally starting at 7 p.m. at their fire pit in the lobby bar.
Great.
Live bands, Atlantic City Blackjack cheerleaders are going to be there. Giveaways. Even that Topgolf Swing Suite is having stuff for September 7th for the opening of
Which, by the way, is going to be a great day for betting anyway because you got college football there.
All day.
So, yeah, no, absolutely. Go enjoy, get a free T-shirt, a $2 hot dog, and bet on some college sports as you celebrate the NFL opening up the next day.
And
it should be opening up the next day. It's,
Ocean Casino made special emphasis on getting their sportsbook skybox suites.
Okay.
New menus, all that
I've
stuff.
seen them.
10 people, you got to reserve it. $1,000 minimum food and beverage order for that for the entire day. You can do that for all
you
days.
get a group of people. That's great. That's awesome.
Now, Borgata, in honor of the new football season, has announced the Pro Football Triple Pick Perfect Season Challenge.
Wow.
Say that 3 times fast. Players, and it's open to all M Life Rewards members. Players get to choose 3 games a week over the 17-week regular season, and they have to compete with everybody to win cash and prizes all the way through the regular season.
Now, can you sign up online, or do you have to be present?
Present.
Okay.
Kiosks and in-person only, that sort of thing.
Okay.
It's basically it's against the spread. You're given a plus or minus 7-point spread.
It's like a football pool.
It's
right?
but they've set all the spreads at 7. But it's not really sports betting. It's set up as just go in, you pick 3 games a week, and you compete against other M Life players all the way through. And if you have, at the conclusion of the 17-week pro football season, participants with a total of 45 to 50 winning selections will receive 500 bonus slot dollars,
which is good.
40 to 44 winning selections will receive 100 bonus slot dollars. 35 to 39 winning selections will receive $50 bonus slot dollars. Anyone goes 51 for 51, you get a share of $1 million. Not slot dollars, but $1 million cash.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so it's a big contest that they're doing.
That's tough to do, though, I'll tell you. Perfect? I don't know.
51 to 51. There's also weekly prizes that are going to be given out, and they're going to be announcing those as they go along. They're going to be different every week.
Great.
Resortscasino.com, the online portion of it, is going to be launching their Super Pick'em contest. Format's going to be picking against the spread each week, guaranteed $40,000 prize pool. So it's a smaller scale than what they're doing in Vegas and some of the other places, but it's free to enter.
Ooh, that's nice.
There's no entry fee as opposed to some of the other ones.
Where do I go for that one?
This is resortscasino.com.
All right.
Online.
I'm doing that.
And Rush Street has announced their $500,000 Pennsylvania Pick'em.
All right.
It's available both on Play Sugar House and Bet Rivers. Smaller scale than the Superbook contest, but it's similar to it. The Superbook contest in Vegas, it's $1,500 to enter and a first place prize of over $1 million. Their Rush Street is offering something about a tenth smaller, but it's still a good contest. $150 to enter, $500,000 guaranteed prize pool. First place getting $125,000, $2,500 prizes each week for the best individual score at both sites. So if you're playing at Bet Rivers, you have a chance to win. If you're playing at Play Sugar House, you have a chance to win.
Nice.
I like this one. A $2,500 payout at the end of the season for the most incorrect picks.
Okay. That's good. Who's doing that one?
That's Rush Street. That's
Rush Street? Oh, yeah. Okay. That's the same.
That's the $500,000 Pennsylvania Pick'em.
That's pretty good.
So you have a loser's bracket, I guess is what you can say. But they're doing that. Contestants have to make a pick on every single Sunday for the 1 p.m. or later games.
Okay.
And Monday night games. No spreads. So you're not picking against the spread as opposed to in the Superbook contest.
You're just picking winners.
You're picking straight-up winners.
Okay.
So that's what we got in the area right now. There's more going to be coming.
Oh, sure. I'm sure we're going to have more next week. I can't. Yeah. I love these things. I can't wait.
No, it's always fun to see who's offering the contests and everything else. I'm curious to see exactly how Resorts Casinos runs because that's a free entry. They should get a good turnout.
Oh, I'm going to be one of them.
So. And I still haven't seen Borgata Sportsbook yet, so I may do a entry into the
why not?
Borgata thing.
Yeah, why not? Let's take a trip down there and do it. And speaking of Borgata, today's Turnpike Sports Book Report was brought to you by BorgataSports.com. Your favorite casino is now your favorite sports book. Available anywhere in New Jersey, BorgataSports.com. Sign up at BorgataSports.com using our promo code PIKE, that's P-I-K-E, and you get a risk-free bet up to $250 and $20 bonus at BorgataCasino.com. Must be 21 years or older and in New Jersey to place a bet. Terms and conditions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Stick around. When we come back, we're going to talk Iowa sports betting. That's right. Iowa just became the 11th state to offer sports betting, and we're going to find all about it from Brian Ohorilko, the administrator for the Iowa Racing and Gaming Commission. So stick around. We'll be right back with more Turnpike Sports. We'll get back to the show in a few moments, but I just wanted to take some time and tell everyone about Bean Genius, the smart specialty coffee subscription service. Bean Genius sells freshly roasted coffee from some of the best independent coffee roasters in the country. They feature over 2,000 specialty coffee blends, all at your fingertips at BeanGenius.com. Here's how it works. Head on over to BeanGenius.com and take their palate profiler test to find out what coffee best fits your taste. Then select from a variety of subscription plans. Every subscription comes with free shipping, and delivery can even be scheduled for once or twice each month. And based upon your review of each coffee blend you try, Bean Genius actually learns your individual taste preferences and then suggests future coffee blends for you. And now you can get 10% off your Bean Genius subscription when you use our promo code PIKE at checkout. Bean Genius offers a variety of subscription plans to suit any coffee lover's needs. Subscribe with Bean Genius today and start enjoying some of the best tasting coffee around. And save 10% off your coffee plan with promo code PIKE. Welcome back to Turnpike Sports. You know, you can't pick up a newspaper or watch the news nowadays without hearing about the expansion of gambling across this country. Whether it be new casinos or sportsbooks opening up or going live online, the U.S. gambling market is expanding. And one of the more interesting states that is making a big impact in the gambling market is Iowa. And to tell us all about the gambling and sports betting scene in the great state of Iowa is Brian Ohorilko, administrator for the Iowa Racing and Gaming Commission. Brian, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Dave. I'm happy to be here.
You know, before we start talking about sports betting and what Iowa is doing there, can you give us an overview of the gambling scene in Iowa? I mean, how many casinos and racetracks does the state have?
So Iowa has 19 casinos currently. The casinos in Iowa range from smaller facilities with 400 slot machines up to our largest ones that have north of 2,000 machines. We have slot machines, table games. A few of the facilities also have pari-mutuel racing, and so it's kind of one of the for those that are across the country may not quite understand the breadth of what we have in Iowa, but with 19 casinos and essentially all the different kinds of casino gambling, it really is a good industry here for this state.
Where are they located throughout the state? I mean, I'm sitting here in New Jersey, and in this state, the casinos are isolated in Atlantic City, and the sports books are in Atlantic City and way up north in North Jersey. So they're pretty isolated in the state I'm sitting in right now. How about in Iowa?
So in Iowa, when gambling was first passed in the state, it was limited to riverboats. And so essentially, casinos started in western Iowa, in Council Bluffs, Iowa, right outside of Omaha, Nebraska, and then in eastern Iowa along the river, so along the Missouri and the Mississippi rivers. Over the years, that legislation has passed or has changed in that casinos could take their operations off of the river and onto land. And so we only have a few boats left in the state. Most of the casinos have transitioned to land. And so we're by those population centers still in western Iowa and eastern Iowa. But then the capital city here in Des Moines, where I'm located, we have one large casino and two small casinos fairly close. And so no different than probably most states, the casinos are built around many of the population centers, or at least the larger ones. There are a few that are kind of strategically located in smaller communities that are situated to get either traffic from the interstate or other cities possibly outside of the state.
You know, the big news in Iowa is that you've recently launched sports betting in the state, and there are a lot of people out there that really don't understand the process the state had to go through in order to allow sports betting. Can you give us a sense of what the process in Iowa was in order to allow sports betting since the U.S. Supreme Court ruling?
Yes, and so the last 2 years, there has been legislation on the table. In 2018, it was considered. It was more prospective of any decision by the federal Supreme Court. That legislation did not pass, but at that time, it was evident that sports wagering was really going to be something that was popular and likely to happen not only in Iowa but in other states. And so, maybe that was the very next year, which happened to be the case. 5 years from now, at that time, no one really knew. And so, it was important for our staff to really try to get our arms around what it is and start watching other jurisdictions that were launching once that Supreme Court decision was overturned. And then the legislation was again proposed in the first part of this year. It was a very thorough and deliberate legislative process involving a number of the professional sports leagues, the casino industry, fantasy sports industry. And at the end of the day, there was a bill that was passed, very comprehensive, authorized retail sports wagering, mobile sports wagering, and fantasy sports contests. And so that's where we were coming out of the legislation. And then it was up to the commission to implement that legislation. And so there was a process for licensing entities, writing regulations, and just approving controls to get folks to the market. And many casinos did launch on August 15th, and really it's been very exciting for those in the industry.
Before sports betting became legal, were there any concerns that the legislators and the citizens had in Iowa, and how did the regulations that were drafted in Iowa address those concerns?
So with any form of new gambling, there are always concerns regarding the fairness of the activity, folks that may be prone to problem gambling. And then with mobile operations, it was just a brand new type of industry for the state. And so there were concerns expressed in how to deal with all of those items. And for example, with regard to mobile or problem gambling, the controls were implemented requiring facilities or operators to offer limits that individuals can impose on themselves, specifically the amount of money they might spend in a day, the amount of time they may spend playing, or just the amount of money that they could deposit into their accounts. And so typically when there are concerns expressed by the legislature or the general public, then we can address those through rulemaking or through our licensing relationships with the operators. And so those were things that happened, and we're still working through some of those, but the regs are comprehensive. There was 3 opportunities for public input as we went through that process. And so as we sit here today, we feel like we have a best practice approach to implementing sports going forward.
It's certainly growing in Iowa. I'm very interested when a sportsbook operator comes to you and says, I want to do business in Iowa. What is the process they have to go through in order to receive approval in Iowa? And also, is it important for you to examine what that sportsbook operator is doing in other states? I mean, for example, William Hill has sportsbooks in other states. If they came to you and said, you know what, I want to operate in Iowa, what do you look at for sportsbook operators to receive approval in Iowa?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. And so in Iowa, the one of the interesting requirements is any entity that is wanting to do business must have a relationship with one of the 19 casinos. And those casinos could enter into up to 3 separate relationships. And so what we are seeing is most of the Iowa casinos are selecting one partner to start. And William Hill is mentioned. That was one that launched right away. There are other entities that have applied for a license, such as Betfair or DraftKings. And so we're seeing a number of companies that are wanting to partner with the Iowa casinos. What the commission will do when we get a request to partner with the casino is to make sure that the entity that's wanting to launch in Iowa is suitable. And so there is a extensive background process. There's really 2 parts to the background. One is forms and interviews that's conducted by the Division of Criminal Investigation. Many of those conversations are still happening as we sit here today. In order to launch earlier or prior to those backgrounds being completed, entities can request a temporary or conditional license. And so then in those particular situations, the commission will be reaching out to jurisdictions in which these entities are operating in just to see if they're in good standing, have they had any administrative issues, what kind of partner are they to the state, or how are they treating the customers in those respective states. And so if all of that checks out, then the commission is authorized and has issued a number of conditional license, and those licenses are conditioned upon the completion of that full background.
Yeah, I found that very interesting how you said that. I mean, how important was it for the process in Iowa to look at what other states are doing? I mean, are you seeing, for example, New Jersey and Nevada, are you seeing what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong? And how did that influence Iowa in their legislation?
It was absolutely critical for the commission to review the regulations and review what is happening with sports in the other states in order for the commission to launch as quickly as we were able to do. And so, and I had mentioned that when the bill was proposed in 2018, that bill did not pass, but it was important for the commission to start understanding what sports wagering is all about. And so it was at that time when any state that was considering regs, we were reviewing those regs. We were trying to create relationships with the regulators in those jurisdictions. We sent staff to different types of educational sessions and training with sports. And sports is really something that's taken off here in the last year. And so those relationships were critical. And then when it came time for for Iowa's commission to draft rules, it really was a situation where we were able to look at other states and see what was working well and trying to adopt those standards and controls, and the things that maybe weren't working so well go in a different direction. And so that was the approach we took. And this industry, for most of the states, is pretty new, and so I do anticipate that the regulations and the technology will evolve over the next few years. But as we sit here today, that was the approach we took in order to launch.
Now, just sticking with the physical retail sports books, at the moment, where can people go and place bets in the state of Iowa?
So currently there are 12 retail sports books that have opened, and those books happen to be not because of anything that the commission had wanted. They do happen to be at all parts of the state. And so of the 19 casinos, 12 have launched retail, and those operations have launched in western Iowa, eastern Iowa, central Iowa, and everywhere in between. And so it really is a situation where that was the focus for most of the casinos. Now, with that said, there were two companies that launched their mobile applications. They are partnering with 6 properties. And so Iowa regs require for the first 18 months that an individual goes into a casino to sign up or register for their online application, their online account. Once that's done, then the patron does not need to go back into a casino if they're wanting to participate in online sports wagering. And so we've seen the two companies branching out to seven casinos. And so that's where we're at right now. As I mentioned, there's 19, so that means that we're over halfway from a retail side and almost from a mobile side. The other thing, I had mentioned that the legislation has authorized fantasy sports contests. The commission's still working with the 3 applicants that have applied for a license. That has not launched yet, but I think folks are anxious to get that still before the NFL season, and the commission's working hard to try to make sure that all of the controls are approved with regard to fantasy sports contests.
As you mentioned, Iowa has online sports books as well. I've done interviews with commissioners in other states that said, we're just going to do the physical now, and down the road we're going to maybe have online sports books. But why did Iowa choose to roll out their retail and their online sports books at the same time?
For us, it was really a situation where the way we implemented the regulations and the approval process in Iowa, it was more efficient to just do everything at the same time. And so the commission's approach was really a task-by-task approach. And so within our staff, we had various individuals that were subject matter experts on the different types of controls. There were things that were isolated or really just specific to online sports books, but there were also a number of things that overlapped. In addition to that, I mentioned that there has to be a relationship between an online sports operator that wants to do business in Iowa and an Iowa casino, and so that even kind of blended that relation, that difference anyway with regard to online and retail. And so early on, when we were setting up our process, we thought for us it made the most sense to kind of do everything together. And then, so from a regulatory standpoint, we were prepared to review and approve controls or write regs for both. And now, in practice, what we saw was the casinos were really focusing, most casinos really focused on their retail launch, and then they elected to sit tight and make sure that was going first, and then they'll transition over to mobile. But there were some that wanted to do both, and we were prepared to do it, and so it made sense to go forward with everything.
What are some of the parameters that people have to abide by when placing a bet in Iowa? I mean, for example, like I said, I'm in New Jersey, and in New Jersey, I can't bet on a college or university that's located in New Jersey. Does Iowa have any rules like that, or what do people, when placing a bet in Iowa, have to know about?
Yes, and so the first thing is, wagering in Iowa is 21 years of age, and so you kind of have those just normal gambling requirements. But with regard to sports wagering, there was significant discussion regarding what would be allowed and what isn't with respect to the types of sports that individuals can wager on. And so it was a robust discussion. The bill was amended a few different times. Where Iowa landed was there's no wagering on minor league sports of any kind, and so it has to be the premier league of any particular sport. In addition to that, with regard to colleges, which college sports is really what is extremely popular in Iowa without a professional sports team.
Absolutely.
There's a number of minor league sports teams. But with college sports, everything is on the board except for individual player prop bets of Iowa athletes. And so, in other words, you couldn't take Brock Purdy, who's the quarterback of Iowa State. You could not bet on the number of yards that he might pass in a game. That would be off the board. And so other than minor league sports and prop wagering for individual Iowa college athletes, everything else is really on the board.
Let me ask you about revenue. I mean, here in New Jersey, online sports betting is bringing in over 80% of the sports betting revenue for the state. Do you expect to see something like that in Iowa, or do you see a more balanced revenue stream between online and retail sports books?
We do expect to see a significant number of folks wagering online with regard to the total pool. And so, I don't believe that will start. I think, and that just is a large part and due to just the number of retail operators that have launched compared to the number of mobile operators. But when we go around the state and we're seeing some investment into the sports books, and that's a good thing. That was one thing that I think some of the legislators were hoping for. We're not seeing significant dollars invested in those books, and so many of the casinos are kind of putting their toe in the water. In addition to that, what we're seeing is a large number of signups for the mobile applications, and so as those mobile applications launch, it does appear that customers are going to want to use those apps. The thing with Iowa, speaking about revenue, this bill, and one of the reasons why I think it was able to move through so smoothly in the legislature was this really was not a bill about revenue. And so the tax rate in Iowa is one of the lowest in the country, and it was really a situation where it was a discussion about consumer protection and not necessarily regarding overall dollars. And so the state isn't expecting large amounts of dollars to be received from retail or online sports wagering tax, but there will be some tax received, and so I think for the state, that's another piece that's important as they went through this process.
That's interesting that you say that. I mean, I talk to a lot of state officials and I talk to a lot of casino marketers, and most of their hopes with regard to offering sports betting is that a property is going to attract millennials. It's going to attract more overnight stays. It's going to increase people at the tables and the slots and the restaurants. What are some of the hopes that Iowa has in deciding to offer sports betting?
And I think that is exactly it. With regard to sports wagering, it really is about attracting a new type of customer. And so the casino industry in Iowa, even though revenue has remained relatively flat. We've seen admissions decline year over year. And so really what we're seeing is that those customers that are casino customers, they're not coming to casinos as much. When they are here, they are spending more dollars. And so, the industry is needed to address that, needed to fix that. And so this is one way that they're hoping to do that. I don't believe that a lot of the casinos expect a lot of the folks that come into to wager on sports to transition to other forms of casino gambling. I think they hope that maybe some will, but I think it's really a situation where there's a dozen or so events, whether it's the Super Bowl or March Madness, where they can attract large crowds, really maybe get some folks to spend on the non-gaming amenities, stay in their hotels, eat at their restaurants. And so I think, that's really the hope is that they'll be able to attract that new customer and maybe generate some excitement back into the casinos.
Brian, we're running out of time, but can you give out a website where people can go and find out about what's going on with regard to gambling and sports betting in Iowa?
Yes, and so you can go to the Iowa Racing and Gaming Commission's website. It's irgc.iowa.gov, and so that's our website. It is a government website. It's not super flashy, but we post. That's where our revenue projections, our revenue numbers will be posted, our regs, rules, and anything that is related to sports.
Well, Iowa is doing amazing things in the casino and sports betting marketplace, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen in the future. Brian Ohorilko, Administrator for the Iowa Racing and Gaming Commission, thanks so much for coming on and telling us all about what's going on in the great state of Iowa.
Happy to do it. Thank you so much.
And a very special thank you to Brian Ohorilko, Administrator for the Iowa Racing and Gaming Commission. Some great information giving out on Iowa. It sounds like it's going to be an amazing fall for Iowa and their casinos and sports books and their online sports books, which is great.
I'm actually impressed that this is another state like Mississippi that allows you to do in-state college betting, except for the prop bets. That's a little different, a little twist.
No, interesting. And that was some great information. I wasn't too familiar with Iowa. Now I am, because he gave out some really amazing information, and I can't wait to go to Iowa. It sounds like it's a great place. 19 casinos.
Yeah, I didn't know they had that many, and supposedly even the online sports betting market's going to be really good there. I mean, they're anticipating sort of like what New Jersey and Pennsylvania are seeing, with the majority of people doing online. Yeah. So that was actually pretty smart that they did the launch together.
Absolutely. Well, that'll about do it for us this week. Have a great Saturday with, actually, it's going to be all weekend college football. I can't wait to, I guess this is week 1, because last week they called it week 0. So. Yeah,
they did a little special marketing thing there.
Have a great time watching college football, and we'll talk to you next time on the Turnpike.